unwanted products or products that we don't use at all. So industrial revolution creates changes. It changes our life as a whole. So now if you're looking at it as like e-commerce that was started in the beginning of this millennium, this is totally different from that stage now, because innovations are at the peak at the moment. The more innovations you have, the next is the exponential increase of innovations. That means it's going to change. So let's see what are some of the meta trends. Let's quickly go through some of the meta trends that we are seeing in the world today. Local. So we have seen, nationalism, and today is a big day for United States. The election news came out. It's not just United States, everywhere, even in Asia, we have seen nationalism in many countries. But if you look 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, we were all talking about globalizations. We were talking about moving the production work to another country, a cost-effective country, and so on. But now with COVID, it has intensified that there should be local measures, local solutions for local problems. So we are also looking at more into localization than globalization. So we need local expertise in many different areas. Now, silver economy, the age is going up. Age of people. So silver economy is a special economy now that is catered to senior citizens of the world. And it is tremendous. It's like 4.56 trillion by 2025. It's just in Asia Pacific. So it's a massive industry with a lot of opportunities. But at the same time, the way we live will change. For example, if you walk on the roadside, you will see a slope now. When you cross the road at the Green Man or at the junctions, it's for the wheelchair users. Wheelchairs are not just used by senior citizens, but, it's mostly used by them. So the point is we will see gradually this new trends are affecting us, and some we may notice, some we may not notice. Equality. I don't need to talk about it. Equality in terms of everything. It's not just gender equality. It's not just racial equality. We have seen it a lot in many countries, especially during this COVID time. So this is, again, going to drive our lives. So if you look at today's generation, the Gen Zs, the generation that was born from 1996 to 2015, you will see that they are more exposed to equal culture, but at the same time, they are listening to others. They're listening to their parents. They're listening to older people as well. But there's more of a need. It's not just a call. It's not just an optional thing. If we have to progress as a civilization, as a species now, we have to see everyone as equal, because something else is coming up. And multi-generation, so we have baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Zs, everyone working together. And these people are so totally different. Even if you look at the last two, millennials and Gen Zs, millennials, unfortunately, they got a lot of bad names. People look at millennials in a certain way. But if you look at Gen Zs are known as very pragmatic. They have seen their parents are mostly Gen Xers, have going through several up and down. So they are more pragmatic. They want to make money, and at the same time, they are very interested in standing for a cause. So how do you get all these people working together in a workplace? And that will affect the way you work. When you enter the workplace, you need to know the different ways to handle different people and different mindsets of these different generations. Education. Now you can see the education has changed. Every year, billions of dollars is being pumped into education system to make it today's education. But when COVID happened, we know what happened. We are not able to conduct education well. We still are relying on the standardized test to make sure that the kids are getting the education, or the students are getting what they are being taught. That is going to change. Sustainability, I don't need to talk anything about that now. And now it's also the century of Asia. The axis is moving. This is the economy is going to be concentrated more in Asia. And there is one more thing. There is a lot of young blood in Asia, and the world needs that. But at the same time, there are older civilizations also. For example, China and Japan, they have a diminishing population. Oh, not China, but at least Japan has a diminishing population. But at the same time, they are the percentage of older people are increasing in these countries. So we have a lot of things. If you talk about Asia, Asia has a big role to play in terms of economy, in terms of innovation, and in terms of generally propelling the world to the next level. Working with machines, when Sophia, if you know, this is Sophia, she's a humanoid robot, and she was given citizenship in the country of Saudi Arabia in 2017, everybody was surprised. She is I'm not using the word it, I'm saying she. So we have actually started personifying machines with gender, right? So we have, that's what I was saying earlier, equality needs to come, because now the difference is between the machines and humans, not between human and human, machines and humans. So working with machines, we will be doing that. So mental health crisis. Look at the youngsters now, stressed. Look at the older generation now, stressed. Everybody is stressed, and it is affecting the mental health. So we have a global mental health crisis. And it's alarming that 1 in 4 people are being affected by mental health. That means if 4 of us are here, 1 of us is going through some trouble, some major trouble. So the point is, these are the trends that are going to drive innovation. And as engineers, we used to look at logic. And when I went into the innovation field, I realized that we need to look at emotions first, empathy first, because that's what we are going to solve. We're going to solve the emotional problems of people. If I have a problem with my iPhone, this iPhone's problem is it is affecting me emotionally. If anything that can satisfy that emotional need, that is the solution for that. So if I'm not able to connect to this WebEx meeting, then yes, I have a problem. I have an operational functional problem there, but then I am also emotionally affected by that. So we need to look at the functional solutioning as well as the emotional solutioning. And then what do we need to do? If we have to do that, we have to look at problems and see how we can solve it with the right mindset. So let's look at what an organization would need from their employees, whether you are an entrepreneur or whether you are an employee or whether you are a student. These are some of the major things. Trustworthiness, because the engagement comes from their ownership and commitment. Again, that goes to the engagement. Risk-taking mentality, because that's where the innovation potential comes from. And definitely, we need innovation in our organizations, because we have all these fresh problems to solve, which we haven't come across before. So, and Dr. Carol Dweck, she is someone who propagated the idea of growth mindset. It's a growth mindset that takes you to innovative mindset. She's a Stanford professor, and she did a study with Fortune, 7 companies from Fortune 1000, 7 Fortune 1000 companies. And these are some of the things that she found. So what they did was they developed some growth mindset in people. And this is what they found. 47% of people said their colleagues are trustworthy. 34% say exhibited strong sense of ownership and commitment. 65% says their company supports risk taking, and 49% says their company fosters innovation. So what does it mean? It means that everything that you are looking for in an employee or to develop an organization, that can be improved with just by changing the mindset. And to give you a perspective, usually it's the engagement of people is it's like 20% or so in normal organizations. And in regular organizations, that's what you, or even below that, that's what you see. So I know a lot of students here in this group today, you are going on an innovation journey, you are about to start something, or you might be an engineer working for an organization, trying to solve pressing problems, coming up with technologies and so on, new technologies and so on. But remember that these are things because our mindset affects the way we work. Our mindset affects our innovation potential, our innovation output, our commitment to our courses, whether it's our personal courses or professional courses. And what I have also seen is that when someone has the right mindset, they're able to align their personal goals with the goals of their organization. And that helps both parties because you become calmer, you will be satisfied with your work, and at the same time, your employer is also satisfied with your work. Isn't it fantastic? Isn't it the right alignment that you are looking for? So my books are all or related to mindset. And what else? And if you would like to take a look at the book, you can go to Amazon and key in this link and take a look at that. So, but the thing is that I'm working with another international publisher now to write another book, which is also on mindset. So it just means that that's what the world is looking for. Because if the innovation is increasing exponentially, you need to be flexible about learning new things. You need to. I mean, it's an age of learning, unlearning, relearning. So you need to. It's a mindset that's going to drive you with that learning and continuous innovation in this age of daily shocks. So I'm going to share my ZOR mindset methodology or ZOR model with you. And as I mentioned before, I won't be able to, I'll be giving you an overview of that. Now, okay, so we have got these people. So when I talk about each of these stages, think about people in your life and think about yourself as well, because you will be able to find out where you are in this innovation journey. So it's the stages of progressing from one stage to another in your innovation journey. So what I usually see is people who complain about things. And in fact, I was in that stage before. When I had my kids, I used to think, the kids, they need to develop the 4 C's. But if I look at the school systems are not providing the 4 C's. If I look at the enrichment centers, they are, in fact, the kids who are able to communicate well, the kids who are able to come up with creative ideas, well, the better they are, the better chances they get. So again, it's not about developing someone. It had always been about projecting the best in the front. So I was wondering, why can't there be a platform where without competition, kids are able to progress, kids are able to develop their 4 C's. But what I was frankly thinking was that I was a working professional. I was in the management consulting. I was managing projects, doing program management and so on. So I never thought that was my job to do something, because you see, you think that you are an engineer, or you are a management professional, you are an MBA, you are doing this particular work which is not related to this particular thing, and you would think that someone else should take the ownership for that. So I had been in that complaining stage for very long without even realizing anything. So that is the first level of people. They know that they are unsatisfied with something, but they don't know what they are unsatisfied about, or whether they can do something about it. Now, that's where we say that we need to develop each and every one of us is innovative. We have an innovative mind because that is built in our system. But we are at different stages. Many of us are in that sleep stage. Now, some of us at some point in time start observing, oh, I see this. I see this problem. And that's what I see. I see the problem in education system. I see the problem in youth development, but still I didn't do anything. So people do observe things. People are unsatisfied about things. At some point in time, people observe what is missing or what is the root cause, but still they don't do things. It's because they don't think they are capable of doing that. And now a stage comes. That stage is the action stage. And in order to reach that stage, you need to go through a few different things. You have to beat your fear of failure. You have to beat the imposter syndrome. Before starting my education initiative, this is what I had gone through. I felt that, people consider I am relatively or well-educated, having engineering degrees, having some 2 good MBAs, having some other qualifications, and so on. But then I went through severe imposter syndrome because I felt that I am not capable of doing this. I don't have any experience in it. I don't have any qualification in education. And I felt that people will ask me, who are you to do this? And so that feeling of I am not enough, this is what's holding many people. So think about this. What are those ideas that you have in your mind and you are not taking an initiative, giving so many different excuses, but it might not appear as an excuse for you. For you, it might appear as a valid reason. What are those reasons? I would call it excuses that you are giving yourself for not starting it off. Think about it. You can take note, whenever something comes into your mind, and at the same time, you can think about other people in your life as well. Who are those people who are not taking that initiative? When I wrote my book, Infinite Possibilities, I had I had taken 10 super achievers as the case studies, how they applied the mindset principles in their lives to become what they are today. So there was one of those people is a woman, or she was a girl. I mean, she's still alive. As a girl, she was so poor. She was extremely poor. Her mother was a domestic maid. Her grandmother was a domestic maid. Her great-grandmother was a domestic maid. Her great-great-grandmother was a slave. And the best her mother and grandmother thought of her was to make her the best domestic maid that she could ever become. She didn't have clothes to wear to school. People called her sack girl. The fellow students called her sack girl because her grandma used to make dresses out of potato sacks. That's what she used to wear to the school. If she had thought that that's what her life is, she's not qualified, or she's not experienced, or she doesn't have the right to dream, or she didn't take the action, she would not have become Oprah Winfrey today. You see, look at yourself and look at that woman who is a billionaire now, who is a world-renowned philanthropist. She is one of the biggest influencers. She is a media mogul. If you are not taking that step, always think about her. You are at a much bigger, much better stage than her. So what is holding you back? So everybody goes through imposter syndrome. Everybody has different reasons, the reasons that only they know. But what you project outside is what you are. What you think yourself is what you will become. You could become a slave of your limiting beliefs, or you could become the master of your empowering future. So you can decide what you want to become. So take that action in spite of your imposter syndrome, in spite of your fear of failure. Take that action. You can have other people around you. As I mentioned about collaboration earlier, collaboration makes it easier to take that next step. So if you are doing your project, your entrepreneurship with other people, that is a huge blessing because different expertise come from different people, as well as you're there for each other to pull you up when you feel the doubt, when you feel self-doubt, when you feel the imposter syndrome. And I have failed many times. I have tried things for the first time. I have failed many times. And failure, it is pathetic when we think about it. I wouldn't glorify failure because currently we have this culture of glorifying failure. Failure, we have, when we go through failure, it is really, 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 definitely it is bad. And we feel that we are emotional beings. So here, I would like to bring, this space mission. You guys are engineers. You like to hear about science, I know. So a few years ago, the 3 men from Israel, they wanted to do a moon mission. A mission to land a moon craft on the surface of moon softly. Only 4 countries have landed on the moon, had a soft landing, a successful soft landing so far. So they wanted to become the next country that could do it. So they have done a lot of research, and people all over people in Israel, as well as the space enthusiasts all over the world, were looking up to it. And so it took about 7 weeks for they landed to the spacecraft to reach the moon, because they did in a very cost-effective way, much like the way the Mangalyaan was launched. And then what happened after that, or Chandrayaan was launched, well, what happened after that was it did reach there, it established itself in the orbit, and when it tried to do the landing, it failed. It crashed on the moon. And that was the loss of hope for a whole lot of people, the space agency, the country, space enthusiasts, and so on. So everybody thought everything is gone. But there was something in that moon mission. That moon mission, there was a library of the size of a CD. And do you know what was in that library? That library was created by an organization. And what they want to do is they want to leave the human culture everywhere the humans go. So it has got about some 30,000 pages of books in a digital form. It has, and as well, it has also some DNAs of human races and many other races. And then they were wondering, did we lose that box as well? And then after checking pictures, footages, and so on, they realized that it survived, or it probably had survived. And do you know there were some astronauts who survived in that? And those astronauts are called, these are some minute little organisms of 1 millimeter. These are called tardigrades. Tardigrades are known as the toughest animals on the planet. They can survive anywhere and everywhere. They can survive. The scientists have put them in Antarctica, and the coldest parts of Antarctica, they have found them there. It can survive in very high temperatures. It can survive in very high altitudes, very low in the trenches of the earth, and in very high pressures, low pressures in radioactive environments, and so on. So what makes it possible? And the biggest thing is that they can actually re-emerge from this. So it doesn't mean that they will survive there in their true active form. What happens is when they are in an adverse situation, they go into a mode called the tun stage. The tun stage is they dry out all the vapor, all the humidity, all water from their body. And they become a very, tiny ball, 1 millimeter, how big it would be when it become a tiny ball. And then they survive. And what they need to re-emerge from that stage is some drippings, droplets of water. You drip some water, they re-emerge. They re-emerge after hundreds of years if they want to. And in this today's state of shock, daily shocks, this is what we are looking at people as well. How can we sprinkle that droplets of water by ourselves? In order for us to do that, we need to develop that quality in ourselves. And you know about quantum entanglement. When the Big Bang happened billions of years ago, within 1 trillionth of a second, the expansion happened. That expansion happened because of all the energy that point or that thing that had before the Big Bang. And according to quantum physics, all of us have that. All of us that have that power to expand ourselves. So being underqualified, being not able to talk, being, saying that I'm not smart enough, I'm not qualified enough, I'm not young enough, I'm not old enough, it doesn't matter. With your mind, you can reach out to that power of that quantum power of expansion. So failure is a step. So every time you fail, this is what we in our organization trainings that there are some steps to train people. Like the first thing is you separate your emotion and the cause. So I am sad, I'm disappointed, which is right. But the next thing is what caused it? What can I learn from it? This is not the end. How can I say, what is the next step I'm going to take? Or what is the different thing I'm going to do if I get a second chance to do this? Doesn't mean that you will get a second chance, but you will get a chance to adopt that particular learning in another part, in another area, or another initiative in your life. And all this could happen only from self-identity, a healthy self-identity. We usually give our self-identity to what we are today or what we are capable of today, right? Oh, this is or I have only this much money, or I have only this much influence, or I don't have public speaking abilities. I don't have the ability to influence people. I don't know how to reach out to investors, or I have tried to reach out to investors. None of them is giving me a face. So all this, but the true self-identity or your true confidence in your innovation journey, it should come from what you can learn and make yourself capable of. you are as capable as you think, because your brain is like that. Once you have this is what I want to do, your brain will strategize itself. So what are you capable of? What is your self-identity? Take a note down. What is your self-identity? What can you make yourself capable of? And the success of your innovation, the success of your entrepreneurship, or the success of your profession, of you as a professional or as a person or a private person, actually depends on that. Now, I got a sense that most of the people here are youngsters, and this is something that excites them. At what age did these people start their journey? And there is also another culture where people say, okay, dropping out is the ultimate precursor to become successful, right? A lot of people glorify the fact that these people have, or many of them, dropped out from university to become famous. It's just like saying a lot of famous people divorced and had a second marriage. So a lot of such myths, right? So the point here is that it's not the dropping out. That's what we should give importance to. We should give importance to what made them drop out, or what made the investors choose these people. So I had an intern a few years ago, a couple of years, like 3 years ago. He studied in Singapore. He studied in a polytechnic, and then he told me, Sindu, I'm not going to study further. I am going to start on my own. And then I asked him, what did you do? What have you done so far? He didn't have an answer for that. But the point is, take the example of Mark Zuckerberg. He dropped out from Harvard University, right? When he was studying, he actually created a network between his father's clinic. His father is a physician or a dentist. He's a doctor. So between his father's clinic and his home. So he was doing things outside his education. And still he was able to work hard towards getting a placement in Harvard. So getting a placement in Harvard itself shows a lot of traits. It shows that you know how to work. I wouldn't use the word work hard. You know how to work effectively. You know how to manage your time. You know how you can get involved in other activities. You know how you can remain productive. You know how you could develop your mental toughness to be in all these situations. And when we talk about mindset, we are talking about all these. So, and you have a goal, and you strategized your entire life. You planned your life in such a way that you can achieve that goal. So when you look at an investor, this is what they are looking at. They will look at, okay, this guy wants to drop out, but what did he do before that? So develop some proofs, do something with which you can demonstrate to the world, to your investors, to your collaborators, that you are capable of demonstrating that you're capable of doing what you're supposed to do. You're capable of carrying on in spite of the difficulties that may arise. You're capable of keeping a goal and give your investors what you promised to give back. Because for investors, at the end of the day, it's all about getting that money back, right? So without glorifying, I think we should stop glorifying the dropout itself. I'm not saying nobody should drop out, because if you have a compelling cause, why not? But what have you done to drop out? What have you demonstrated before that? That is essential. Now, We can't talk about mindset without talking about our brain, because mindset, it's a growth mindset that leads to innovative mindset, and it's not a fluffy stuff. It is a combination of neuroscience as well as our behavioral science, so psychology. Until like 20, 25 years ago, even the neurologists used to think our brain is the way we are born with. We don't have much influence in changing our brain. But the studies in the last couple of decades, it proved that our brain has enormous capacity. And they came up with this word neuroplasticity. That means the neuroplasticity means our brain is like plastic. Whichever mold you put that into, it formed there. And you might have heard several stories of people losing parts of their brain, but still develop certain abilities, certain talents, which physicians were not expected them to come up with, and so on. So how does it happen? Our brain is just like this. You see, this is a park. We see parks everywhere in every country. And we see, in this particular park, you can see that there is grass patch and there is a paved road there. And in that paved road, if you want to go to that part where that car is, you have to take that detour. You have to go straight, first turn left. And then one day someone realized that, okay, I can just walk over that grass patch. And when people starts walking over that grass patch, it becomes clearer. And look at it, it has become as clear as the paved path. Our brain is also like that. Our brain has billions of neurons, about 100 billion neurons, and it can make trillions of connections. And if you say, twinkle, twinkle, little star, if you complete that, that means you have repeated it so many times when you were young. And you have repeated it so many times to younger kids when you became older. And that made that connection. So whenever you hear the word twinkle, it's most probably you will remember the word little star or star. So it's because of that connection. So if you want to create a new habit, a new routine, a new way of living life, a new way of dealing with people, finding new confidence in dealing with all these meta trends that we have seen, dealing with the daily shocks, dealing with, maybe the rejections that is coming on your way, on your entrepreneurial journey or on your innovation journey. You need to understand that you have got this enormous brain that is in your power to program. It's just like programming. It's just like programming using C or Python or any other language. You just program it the right way. And when you program it, I'm sure you will see the results. You will see, and that's why, if you're doing one thing very often, if you're gaming every day, you know that your hands are moving. You can do certain things, even in your certain moves, even in your sleep. And people say it's a second nature. The second nature is nothing but the wiring of the brain. And it physically happens when you do certain things together. For example, if I am, okay, let's not take my example. Let's take the example of Sachin Tendulkar, okay, the cricketer. And we know, certain poses of his, we know how he bats and so on. Initially, as a young child, when he was learning cricket, his coach had to coach him to take certain positions. And so in the way he keeps his hand, or, if he is bowling, the way he takes his hand or holds his ball, the coach had to teach. And then when he practiced, at some point in time, the neurons, the brain cells realized that, we are all working together. And we need to make this process more efficient, because brain takes up only 2% of our body weight, but it takes up about 25% of all nutrition, all energy, everything. So if you look at it as a machine, the body tries to reduce the energy consumed by the most important energy hogger, that is the brain. So what does it do? It makes a coating between all these neurons that work together. So the triggering action happens. It's like a public announcement system. Everybody wakes up, everybody hears it about it, and it goes together and it becomes a second habit. So the point is, as you are on your entrepreneurship journey, as you take action, we are in the act component. As you take action, you will come across several things that you need to consciously work towards. You need to develop your mindset. You need to develop your behaviors. You need to develop certain skills. You need to develop certain confidence. If you understand that you are capable of programming your brain, you can achieve all that irrespective of your background. Remember the sad girl, Oprah Winfrey, right? So, and then another thing that the scientists are recently coming up with is 97% of our DNA is benign. It's junk. And they feel that we can reprogram. We can program our DNA using that 97% because, the nature is so efficient. The nature wouldn't give something 97% of something as junk. There is some purpose. So now if you look at the mission statement of all these organizations, you can see that there is something, they are all connecting that to some higher purpose. What is your higher purpose? Or what is the higher purpose of your initiative, of your innovation? Because if you need to get crowdfunding, if you need to get the support, you need to see that. You need to see what the world is looking for. You need to see how you can get the support of the world. So even if it doesn't matter how small your initiative is, relate that, align that to a higher purpose, align that to a global purpose. And it means that you will get a vigor, you will get more initiative, you will get more support, and you will get more ideas as well. So do not see your initiative, your actions are small. Each and every one of it is related to something that you would be able to find. Now, the next is make the routine. So when you have an idea, your purpose is like that idea, that particular idea. Look at Elon Musk. He is everywhere. He's in space. He is, he's doing so many different diverse things. This is because he started with something, right? He started with creating an app when he was young. And once he saw that, okay, this is the innovation process, then for him, it doesn't matter what he studied or what he dropped out or where he dropped out from. He looks at only opportunities because that comes with the routine. So how can you develop some routines? So mastermind groups. This IEEE is a mastermind group, right? But if you have an idea, suppose your idea is about creating a financial software. A mastermind group doesn't mean that, you necessarily need to have a mastermind group with similar people working in similar fields. The purpose of a mastermind group is to find people with similar mindset. Okay, so you're in your mastermind group. You could have people who are working in the biotechnology field, but again, you are there to encourage each other, to push each other, to be in the same mindset so that you know that, okay, this is the way we work. This is our kind of people, right? So we can all progress together. Attitude of gratitude. I can never stop talking about it. People say it is fluffy stuff, but in today's climate, we need to see how we are progressing. A gratitude of gratitude or writing a statement of gratitude, it's actually reminding your brain that I'm making small progress. I'm making small progress towards my goal. If we don't take note of the small progress, we feel that we haven't achieved anything. So writing that, it gives a peace to your mind. That is the fluffy stuff. But it also gives you the proof that I am in the right track. I am taking action. Self-compassion, the University of Berkeley is doing a lot of research in self-compassion, and as according to their findings, self-compassion is even better than self-esteem. The difference, self-esteem, that comes with after achieving something. That means if you don't achieve something, your self-esteem drops suddenly. Self-compassion is about talking to yourself or treating yourself the way you would treat another human being or your best friend, the person you like the best in the world. And last but not the least, mindfulness. And it's, in scientific terms, you can call it metacognition as well. Metacognition is about thinking about your thoughts. Because whatever you are consider this thing. What is one aspect of your life you are extremely dissatisfied about? Something that happened in the past. So if you look at the chain of events that happened and that's over. And once that is over, now what is drive after that? It's the thoughts, what you think about it. What is your perspective about that? Might not be the holistic perspective. What is your perspective about that? And then that thinking translates into feelings. So now it's the feelings that drive. Oh, and she did it, she did that, and that's the root cause of all this. Or I did that, that is the root cause of all this. But again, earlier I had mentioned about separating your thoughts and your the facts and the feelings. That is where the metacognition or mindfulness also come into play. Because if we can do that, if we can be mindful every 10 minutes or every 1 hour, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, if you just sit and say, okay, put an alarm. What was I thinking about? Just train your mind. Why did I feel like that? Why am I feeling like that? Why do I think that I don't like that particular approach? Because these are all the ways in which you are creating a routine of an innovator's mindset. See, you can see that these are all simple things you can practice. And as engineers, we often think that we have to talk about bigger things. We have to talk about bigger innovation. But it all boils down to something. It all boils down to our mindset, how we nurture our mindset, how we nurture our ideas, how we give voice to our ideas, and how we work with others to work on those ideas. So do not sleep. See where you are sleeping. See where the dissatisfaction you are finding. And now go to the next stage. What is causing that dissatisfaction? What is the issues you are finding around yourself in your life and in the lives of others or in your community, or the issues faced by others? And in fact, even in design thinking, innovation journey, that's what we do. What we do see, what are the problems people are facing, and how do we approach in a very empathetic manner so that we can understand the functional as well as the emotional problems. And don't sit there, act on that. In order for you to act on that, you don't need to have all the resources. You can collaborate with people. You can come up with create clarity in your idea. Once you create the clarity, you can ask for people to contribute resources in terms of manpower, in terms of investment, and so on. And once you achieve something, don't stop there. Make it a routine so that you could become the next Elon Musk, or you could become the next Oprah Free. And that is what, and the world is for those people who are willing to innovate from within. And they are the people who are going to soar in their life. Okay, so move towards your destination. And that's what I have for today. If you have any queries in whichever way you can ask, you please feel free to do so. And you can connect with me and you can download this free resource at the link given there. And I would be happy to continue a conversation on social media as well, on LinkedIn as well, if you have any queries. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Hope I am audible. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, Ramnik.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. It was really wonderful. I would say on Sunday morning we have Sunday afternoon. I would say now it's afternoon. Great talk by a great personality like you. I've been always pushed towards the motivation that you and Manoj sir always do on LinkedIn, and I always follow sir. Regarding the DQ, I really take that you can say takeaway, and I really like the message of how you divide the meaning of source, sleep, observation, and act and routine. That's really kind of four pillars which a student or a young professional should to consider when he is moving into a entrepreneurship journey or kind of innovative mindset. So it was really great to have you today under IEEE YESIS12 banner, and always IEEE as an international organization will always be so much you can say we can't pay you back, because if anyone serve any community without having a grid of taking anything back, so it's kind of no service to humanity. So thank you so much for giving your time and space, ma'am. So with that, let's take some queries. We do have something. So we have one query from Sidiak. Can you give you an example of building a routine? What key things you can include in the routine? Over to you, ma'am.
Okay, sure. Routine, few. First of all, you are the product of the 5 people you constantly mingle around with. So have the right people around you. Have people with the right mindset, so that you are always talking about some goals you have. You're always talking about, yes, we can come out of any difficulties. You are there for each other. That's one thing. Your network really matters. That means your close network. Number 2, as I had mentioned, right, the gratitude. That's another thing. Number 3 that I hadn't mentioned before. That's about a practice of writing down your ideas. And then, so write down your ideas, because what I have seen is I have written many books. I never thought I would be writing books. Okay. I never thought I would be a person who would go and write a book, and it was never there in my goal. But at some point in time, I started, and when I started writing articles and writing books, I realized that when you write, your ideas flourish. You get more ideas. So people say, if you write every day, whatever comes into your mind, like 1,500 words a day, that's good. Sometimes it could be your emotional dump. Sometimes it could be your creative dump. So writing down really helps. Writing journals really helps. And then coming up with what exactly you are expecting from your life. So people talk about purpose a lot. What is my life purpose? I'm actually not, very convinced about finding. I have found one purpose in my life. That is to, create a group of people who are at an elevated mindset. But that doesn't mean that would be my life purpose. You will find the ideas that you are aligned with. That might not be about something that you are currently doing or you are studying. So you try to observe that and see how you can contribute. And the last but not the least, in the social media platforms, anything that you are passionate about, you can share that. You can give your opinions about that. You can share other people's posts about that. Be there in the social media where the more you engage